This video is a sample from the Secret Guitar Teacher Interactive course, The 5 Main Elements of Music. The 5 main elements of music. Element number 2, scales. Section 2.2, using the minor blues scales. Part 5, centering on first position. So far, we've been building the foundations for this section of the course. We have learned quickly to find notes on the 1st, 6th and 5th strings. We've learned to use these to help us locate the 1st and 4th positions of the minor blues scale patterns in any key and all available octaves on our guitar. We've also taken a close-up look at the basic fretting hand techniques used to help us connect the notes of these patterns together with more fluency and variation in sound. Hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, bends, vibrato, muting and harmonics. Then we have looked at applying these techniques to form licks, initially in the first position. And we've had a go at applying all this to jamming along to backing tracks in different keys. Next, we're going to expand our basic improvising skills both by developing some more licks and at the same time expanding our orientation by learning to branch out from the first position and connect it to the positions on either side. Here are your step-by-step instructions for this process. We're going to start this process by orientating ourselves to the first position in the key of A. So I found this note A here on the 5th fret on the E string. And I'm now just going to run up and down the first position pattern. Also, it will do no harm to take notice of where our other key notes fall in this first position pattern. And this is a good opportunity to apply the caged system. Because I know I've got a key note here on the E string, fret 5, I know I can apply the E shape from the cage system to find another key note there at fret 7 on the D string and of course there at fret 5 on the top string. So all those notes are A's. Now when we want to work out roots that help us connect smoothly to adjacent positions, it's worth observing that some roots are easier than others, principally those roots that favour our stronger fingers. In this diagram, you can see I have coloured the most accessible notes in the first position orange. Actually, there's only one note in the first position I've left out. You can see that the note at fret 8 on the bottom E string is coloured grey. And if you look on the lower frets, you can see I have coloured the easily accessible notes from the 5th position in green. The two notes on the middle two strings are left in grey because they are more awkward to access from the first position. And when you look higher on the fretboard, you can see that I've only coloured in the top 3 strings for notes accessible in the second position. These are in blue, whilst the notes from the second position on the bottom three strings are in grey, because these tend to be more awkward to get to from the first position. See if you can feel this out for yourself. Play a few notes here in the middle of the first position and then try to link to the top end of the fifth position up here. And similarly to the bottom end of the fifth position down here. Practice, you'll begin to find that these connections are quite easy to make by sticking to your three strongest fingers. And principally using slides to connect from one position to the next. Similarly, try connecting to the top end of the second position, maybe like this. By contrast, now see if you can connect to the grey coloured notes. Not so easy, is it? So that is what we mean by centering on the first position. Finding licks that help us easily connect to the positions on either side. Now, ideally, we want you to develop your own licks to help make these connections. But I know that for many students, this process is not easy to begin with. So to help catalyze the process, here are a few of the licks that I use for this purpose, and you have my full permission to steal them from me. The first lick is really an extension of the unison bend we showed you in the last lesson. But instead of coming back down the first position using the fourth finger, we're going to go down the top end of the fifth position with our first finger, and then we're going to use this little hammer-on pull-off lick, string pairing down to the third string there, and then sliding back in to the first position before resolving down to the key note there. So all together, that's here's the tab for that lick, and you can download a printout of that if you'd like to use it to help you to practice the lick. Meanwhile, let's look at a lick designed to link the first position with the lower end of the fifth position. This starts off with a hammer-on the D string from 5 to 7, and then back to the 5th fret there, then a slide down on the 5th string and a pull off to the 1st finger, taking us down into the bottom end of the 5th position, where we just sort of play around with the notes there. I've included a hammer on there, and then a slide back up, and then finally back down into it again to resolve on the key note there, the A at fret 5 on the bottom string. Here's the tab for that, and again that's included in the printout if you'd like to download it. Finally, here's a lick I might use to connect the 1st position up into the top end of the 2nd position. So I start this with a slide on the 3rd string from 7 to 9, hammer on from 8 to 10, little bend at fret 8 on the top string, back to fret 10 on the 3rd finger, and then I slide back there from 8 on my 3rd finger, and then slide back down into the 1st position. So notice little fingering shift there. Most guitarists will do this. They'll come across to their strong fingers on the top 2 strings there, rather than trying to operate these notes on their weaker fingers. But that's up to you. You may have to go over and over these many times before they become easy to play and form part of your own repertoire of stock licks. But once you feel you've got on top of them, do try playing along to the backing track in the key of A, using these licks to form solos. And then once you got used to that, try them in other keys as well, particularly in G, A, E, C and D. And most importantly, once you've got these licks down, don't forget to vary them. Use them as points of departure to create your own similar licks. This part of the course can be considered complete once you're comfortable that you can link effortlessly and easily from the 1st position to those either side in a way that sounds really good against backing tracks in any key. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you'd really like to maximise your potential as a guitar player, click on the link in the description below to the Secret Guitar Teacher site. Here you can sign up for a 30-day trial free of charge and without obligation. We won't even ask you for your credit card number.